Okay, yeah, so we can at least if you hear Dean come over and, yep, I'll just look and see. All right, I'm gonna close this part out. Okay, we are live.
This is Kathy Gracie, Melissa.
Okay, so we can at least if you hear Dean come over and, yep, I'll just look and see. All right, I'm gonna close this part out. Okay, we are live. So is that feedback coming? Somebody's got their microphone on.
Kathy Gracie.
Hello?
Hi, we're working on our technology situation right now. We just want to make sure everybody on the Zoom does not have the YouTube pulled up. We were getting some pretty significant feedback over here. I don't know if you were. Oh, not you, Dr. Kennedy. I'm speaking to the whole group. Hi, we're working on our technology right now. We just want to make sure everybody on the Zoom does not have the YouTube pulled up. We were getting some pretty significant feedback over here. I don't know if you were.
Is that pulled up?
Oh, not you, Dr. Kennedy. I'm speaking to the whole group.
There's a delay. This is why we wanted to be
There we
all
go.
together.
It pulled it up here. Okay, it was in the background. Okay, so we're okay. We're okay. So the issue is here. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna move on over. Okay. Thank you all for your patience. We are trying out the PDR with those of us on the e-board just so we can kind of be together and work out any technology. We might be having we just witnessed, so thank you to Corey for hanging with us here to make sure we were good to go. So here in the room is Paulette, Gina, and I, and then Evan is joining on Zoom over in the admissions office while he is manning things for walk-in registration. So he's kind of worried. We're gonna have to go grab Corey. Can you guys not hear us? Nothing at all?
You're a little quiet.
Like you can't understand us? Are we muffled because of the mask? Or you can't hear us at all?
I think you're just a ways from the mic.
Can you hear me better when I'm sitting at the computer?
No, I think the mic is probably closer to where the camera is. That'd be my guess.
Did you find Corey? No, I'm gonna call. Okay, sorry guys, we thought we had it all good to go.
There should be a new sound system in there. SGA paid to put a new sound in their microphone system and stuff in there. So I don't know if it's on the computer or if there's an actual thing in somewhere to turn it on in there, maybe up in the front.
They're having feedback issues that they're working on right now. Their mic is turned off because it's feeding back.
I think
They'll be back shortly.
I was gonna say, I think they need to mute the computer part.
Kevin, can you call Corey? Oh, there you are. She's back. They cannot hear us. It's just very.
Should we scoot down to where we're all like within these two?
Well, but if I Was trying to project into that. It didn't seem to make a difference.
Because I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
You think the Jeopardy music?
They're giving me a thumbs up. Is it working okay? Can you guys hear okay? Oh, and thumbs
All right.
up. Yay. So we're not getting any.
Can you hear us over here at the table? Is that
That is
better?
definitely better. Yeah, that's way better.
What did you do?
Matt, just push that again.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. All right. We're good to go. Thank you for your patience again. COVID and all its fun that it has brought about. I'm going to put my mask back on. Hopefully you can still hear me okay? Yes? Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll do our best to project, and thank you again for your patience. Hopefully everybody is back and a good week and a half, a great and restful, enjoyable break. We do have our invited guests with us today, and I know we were all so thankful for the extra 3 days that we received. That were very much an unexpected gift, and so I'm sure you all would nod along in expressing our appreciation to administration for honoring those extra 3 days and what it did for our spirits and just overall how it just really truly made a big difference for many of you. I know you've shared that, and we just want to make that open statement for everybody to hear. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, Paulette has already got roll call done. Are we good?
It's Tiffany Crawford in the crowd.
Tiffany Crawford
Or Debbie Vaughn.
or Debbie Vaughn?
Kathy Bryce.
Don't see
I don't either.
either one. Okay, all right, we do have a quorum, so we're able to move forward. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Kennedy. I think she is joining by phone. Dr. Kennedy, are you able to hear us okay?
Yes, and it is much better. I'm not sure what magic you or fairy dust you sprinkled on whatever technology, but it's working much better now. So, and I apologize, I'm on the phone. I'm actually driving back from Jefferson City with Steve Johnston. We've stopped at Macon to get some gas, and then we're headed home. So I do appreciate your willingness to let me participate by phone call. And I'm very happy to hear that the extra days were as enjoyable to everyone as they were to me. I know it was very nice to have that kind of time out and a chance to kind of regroup and take a breath and have some time for ourselves. So I'm very glad that that was well received. It seems like, gosh, isn't that a nice tradition to think about? But that's down the road. So, but despite the break, you know, we've all been back, and I just want to make sure folks are aware that we have been keeping up on our COVID-19 protocols and practices. As you know, we sent out remote work arrangements and also some new formula or new forms and to go along with that. And I'm most pleased to report that we were able to develop a COVID leave bank policy, if you will, to help those folks who either have exhausted time or haven't been here long enough to earn time. I mean, that was a priority of mine. I can share with you too, we just got notice from the United States Department of Education that they're going to be doing a conference call about additional care COVID-19 relief. I don't have any details, but you know, it's such a fluid situation. We're keeping tabs on that. And also, I just would like folks to kind of be aware and keep an eye out. You know, we've done our protocols, our practices. We're gearing up to have the students come back to campus, and for the students coming into the dorms, we've got the screening processes back up. For symptomatic students, rather, we have testing that will be going up. So the next thing we're focusing on is the vaccination. So even during the break, I kept in touch as part of our weekly community call with the hospital and the health department and the school district and the county folks, city folks, chamber, just kind of sharing things about COVID, what was going on, so that we at Missouri Western knew what was happening at the hospital, with the community, those kinds of things. And our next piece that we've been working on is vaccinations. Now, as you might imagine, there's still a lot of information we don't have. And it's very simple things from what vaccine we might get to when we might get it to how we would engage in those inoculations for employees who would be interested in it. At this point, at first we thought it would be a little bit more time because we are considered a tier 1B group, but you've probably seen news reports that efforts have been trying to escalate that process. So we're still not sure of the dates, and what vaccine we get determines how this all happens. I'm sure you know the Pfizer is a minus 70 degree Fahrenheit storage, which we can accommodate. So we have a lot of details to work out, but we have a COVID response team meeting of a larger group this week, and there will be, I guess you could call it a survey sent out to folks to say, are you interested in getting vaccinated when it comes? And if the answer is yes, there's a little bit of information we need to collect, your name and those kind of date of birth kind of things, simply because I want to make sure people appreciate this. Not only does the vaccine, whichever one, have to be stored at a relatively cold temperature, once it's thawed for injection, it has a very relatively short shelf life. And we certainly don't want to waste any doses. So when we either working with the health department or Mosaic, wherever that gets finalized, or even a pharmacy, we have to make sure that we have an exact count of how many people want it, who's coming at what time on what day, so we don't waste any of our vaccinations. So there hasn't been a lot of information out about that because we haven't had a lot of information to share. But I think the first step is you'll be seeing kind of that survey coming around next week once we get that finalized. And again, if folks are interested in getting vaccinated, this would be the time for them to indicate to do so. We have had some of our nursing faculty, for example, who they may be 1B employees with us, but they engage in 1A behaviors, meaning they provide front-facing patient care as part of their duties. So, we don't have 100% vaccination to engage in, but I want to make sure that those folks on campus who want to be vaccinated have the opportunity once we can figure out, again, what vaccine, how many doses, when are we going to do it, and how is that all coming. So we are keeping on top of that. Other pieces that we're working on, we'll be starting the semester next week after the Martin Luther King holiday. We're moving forward on our initiatives of the Master Academic Plan, developing our program review cycle when that comes up. I know we have some folks working on some HLC criterion information that they'll be providing, and that's moving forward. And then basically it's just kind of pushing the good news of Missouri Western. Steve and I were down in Jeff City to engage some of our senators and representatives. They've just come back. They're just getting their committee assignments. And so before they get too busy and locked up in the budget, we want to make sure that I'm providing information and lobbying with them for our budget needs and our financial situations, and also sharing the good things that we're doing. So that's about what's going on for this second week of January as we gear up to hear the spring. I also want to offer my thanks again to everyone's hard work last fall in terms of helping us manage and mitigate COVID. And I do want to say that, aside from the vaccines, nothing else has changed. We are going to engage in the same practices and protocols to keep everyone safe and to keep our campus operational. So thank you for your efforts and your continued diligence in that regard. So I think that's about what I have to say, Andrea, if there's a particular topic or anything to catch me on. But I think at that moment, that's a good way for us to think about beginning the spring semester.
Yes, thank you. I see we have a chat message. I just want to check it real quick. Oh, we're good. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Kennedy before she might need to literally ditch the rest stop and get on the road? Okay, with that, we thank you very much. You're welcome to stay on the call, but we will turn it over to Dr. Davenport.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Great. And is the volume level okay with me? Okay, very good. And it's interesting because several of the things that I wanted to highlight Dr. Kennedy noted. And so that means we're on the same sheet of music in a lot of ways. I appreciate that. And I too want to echo, first of all, my thanks to everyone for how we managed the fall semester. It just, it seemed like such a daunting task. There were so many unknowns, and yet everybody did their part to help create a safer environment for everybody. And so I look back and I really consider it an unqualified success. I know things weren't perfect, but man, my gratitude to everyone for the way that you helped us to implement and maintain our policies, protocols, et cetera. It's exhausting. I was in a meeting earlier this afternoon. We were talking about that level of mental exhaustion that we all have dealt with in one way or another. And I can say personally that 2-week break over Christmas and the New Year was much needed and very welcome. And so thank you. As you know, I know that we're going to continue to push forward and continue to implement our policies as we have been. And thanks for all the work that you have been doing. I just want to say also, I wrote to faculty, some of you probably have seen the email that I sent to them with regard to preparing for classes in the fall in the spring. And essentially we're maintaining the expectations around how we're going to engage with our students as we did in the fall. So I think that worked. And, it prepared us for the potential that we would have to pivot and make some radical changes. We did not have to do that. And I'm grateful that we didn't, but being prepared enabled us to be ready to do it if need be. So we're going to once again be ready. And I'm thankful for the faculty, the way they are working. I appreciate all the staff in our academic departments because the routines that we've grown used to over many, many years just aren't routine anymore. So many things look different. And I realize that's work that has to be done. And my thanks to staff members in taking on their part in making sure that our students are well served all across the board. That's so important. I would like to echo a couple of things that the president said with regard to other areas. As you know, we've been involved with the academic program review team. Dr. Beth Potts is leading that process, and they have come up with an excellent draft. And so that's going to be presented at Faculty Senate next week. The feedback that's been received, I think we're well on our way to having a great plan for being able to provide regular continuous review for our academic programs, which will really, I think, benefit us in the long run at the institution. Related to that, of course, our master academic plan, and they have provided that first draft thanks to Dr. Elise Hepworth in her role as the interim vice provost for leading that process. I think that's been a very good thing to think about how we can strategically advance our academic mission at the university. The last one that I wanted to note was the Higher Learning Commission accreditation. Now, what's going on is that we have what's known as a mid-cycle review that is necessary. It's required as part of our regular 10-year accreditation process. So in year 4, we submit what's known as an assurance argument. And there has been a team led by Dr. Yin To, our Director of Assessment and Accreditation. It's got 18 people on the team, the assurance leadership team, and they have been working very, very diligently. And my thanks to all of them for the work that's been done. That is due in July, and we are on track, as I learned today, to meet the deadlines. And so I'm grateful for the work that's going on there. And many of you are participating in one way or another. So thanks for that. The last thing I want to say is I'm grateful too for our Center for Teaching and Learning and Dr. Shauna Hiley, Dr. Dom DeBrinket, and their work leading that, but also all the individuals who have participated. And as you will remember, the vision that we have for the Center for Teaching and Learning is that it serves faculty and staff. It serves all employees. And so I am hopeful that we will continue to find ways to provide excellent professional development opportunities for all employees, facilitated through the Center for Teaching and Learning. We are ready to begin the semester. I know that it feels like we've been out for quite some time, and yet it feels like it's upon us, and there's this flurry of activity that's ongoing. And so as we get ready to welcome our students back at this weekend, and be ready for the semester to begin next Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day, I'm excited to welcome students back and to see them. And because there's always an energy that the students bring with them. And so I hope that we can all receive the energy that they will provide, and that will help us as we move into this semester. So those conclude my remarks. Of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about anything I've talked about or any other topic.
I'm just curious what enrollment is looking like. I know we have a lot of folks that have been calling the last couple of days, students that were eligible to enroll but had not. I was just curious what enrollment was looking like.
Yeah, great question. As of Monday of this week, we were approximately 7% down in student credit hours. It's a little bit different in terms of head count, but head count is not really a great indicator of enrollment. And I always look at student credit hours because that is, I think, a more accurate indicator of where we are. So we were down 9% previously. So we've made some excellent headway in that. And I know we're doing walk-in registration. We had a go session. So we're doing a lot of things. And then we are doing a calling campaign for the students who are eligible to enroll but are not. What I learned today talking to the deans about that, we have a number of students who are on that list, but really they don't need to enroll. They are literally seniors who have some graduation requirement, but they're not needing to enroll in a set of classes for the spring. So there's some of them that are in that case. There are some of our students, however, I will say, who are taking a semester off. How many of them, it remains to be seen, but it is clear that some students are taking a semester off, and it's really related to the pandemic and the consequences of that, rather than anything that we have done or that we could do differently. So again, I appreciate everyone's efforts in terms of reaching out to these students, trying to see if we can get them to enroll, and I know that we will do everything we can. I'm very appreciative of Dr. Melissa Mace's efforts as we gear up for recruiting for next fall, because we all know that enrollment is critical to our financial future, and everything we can do to recruit and retain students, ensuring they succeed, is that's the name of the game. That is what we are all about. And so I appreciate the fact that she's leading an effort, and we're working together in a lot of areas. We'll have more updates in the future around some of the things that we're doing to ensure students succeed and students are excited to come to Missouri Western.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Dr. Davenport? Okay, Daryl, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I would just begin by saying welcome back, Happy New Year, and I too am thankful for all the work that's been done for the last semester, and looking for a better semester in the days to come as we move through this. Just a few items that I want to talk to you about. As Dr. Davenport indicated, in response to a question, we are down in enrollment again, which will have a negative impact on our budget. across campus. We're already struggling with our budget, as you are all aware. So we'll be looking at that. The fiscal year 22 budget cycle is almost upon us. To begin the preparation for that, we've already began some preparation in my area for that. We'll be rolling that out. I have a committee meeting on Friday of this week with the ad hoc university budget committee to provide some feedback and ideas and get feedback as well from them on the budget process and the timeline, and you'll be hearing more about that. One of the issues that is holding us off from rolling some of this out is what to do with tuition and fees for the upcoming year. I don't know how many of you are aware, but there is a loophole, if you will, in the Higher Education Funding Act of the state of Missouri, that if you do not receive all of your state appropriations, then there is an opportunity for you to increase tuition and fees above a certain level. So we'll be looking at that and what makes sense for us as a university and what we might be able to do there. It's a very tenuous line to walk, quite honestly, tenuous situation in that you can't overprice yourself out of the market, but at the same time, are you leaving money on the table that you could otherwise get? So we'll be looking at that. Of course, all this subject to Board of Governors approval. So we'll be coming forth with recommendations on that. And as again, I'll be discussing with your colleagues that serve on this budget committee with some thoughts and ideas about that. I would say I see Dr. Lindstedt on the call this afternoon. He reads the press releases from the governor's office and the newspaper and different things. Some of you might have saw that. The governor released a little over $1.9 million in our state appropriations. And Dr. Lindstedt immediately emailed me and said, "This is good. Is this good news? And what does this mean?" I will tell you what it meant was that they have released it, but the governor put the restrictions on it that it can only be for deferred maintenance as opposed to operating. Now, while we have a lot of deferred maintenance on the campus and a lot of things that we need, I was very hopeful that it would have been for operating. That's not the case. But so we'll continue on replacing and fixing some things across campus as we have been doing, which I might also mention that I know the heating issues in various buildings as we have replaced air handlers and controls has been quite challenging for numerous people in those areas. It's not only been challenging, it's been cold in some cases. I had a follow-up this morning with Brian Adkins, and supposedly everything should be finished in time for classes next week. So we're by Friday evening, so we shall see. Okay. But I just want to thank everybody's patience on that. The timing of it's terrible of when we're having to do it, but the requirements and the things of the money associated with it and paying for it was something that, we just had to do as a campus to make it better and for the long run. So thank you for that. There's several other projects that the physical plant's working on, various things as we prepare for the campus. If you haven't been in Blum Union, the esports arena, majority of it, I would say, done in-house with our own people. So kudos to those guys for doing that. And, so we're moving ahead with a lot of things. I would say from a budget standpoint, and I'm saying this just as a reminder to everyone, We're not in good financial ground. We're still in a financial emergency. No one likes to hear those things, okay? But the bottom line is we didn't get in this situation overnight. We'll not get out of it overnight. It takes time. And so I appreciate your patience on a lot of things. We're doing the best we can. We're moving ahead. Okay. So with that, I'll wrap it up and we'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Daryl? Daryl, are you starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel with the financial emergency? Like, are you able to breathe a little easier for the future?
Yeah, I'm hopeful, depending on what happens at the legislature this spring. You know, state tax revenues are up, guys. So hopefully if we can get some additional funds, the rest of our money's released, that would be beneficial to us. Depending on what we're able to do with some of the CARES money and things we could maybe substitute some funds for and do some other things that would be beneficial to us. So the answer to the question is yes. The biggest piece that we've got to turn around, though, quite honestly, is enrollment. That's the biggest challenge we have as a university. Okay, if we can get enrollment up, then we can do something. But if your enrollment continues to go south, you can't increase fees and tuition and those types of things enough to compensate for what you're losing on an annual basis. Not only that, it's the retention piece. It's not only getting them in, it's that continual thing. And we all understand that, but you know, hopefully brighter days are ahead. We'll just have to see what it looks like once we get past the pandemic and some of these things.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is for Daryl. So, okay, thank you both, Dr. Davenport and Daryl, for your time and your willingness to share information. We're appreciative. Do we have a motion to approve the November meeting minutes? Or any edits or feedback on those?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Where did you get that, Evan? All in favor, please unmute and say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye, sorry.
I was trying to pause, that way nobody came through as an opposition. Okay, motion passes, thank you. All right, we'll turn it over to committee reports and we'll start with salary and fringe. Are you ready, Kathy?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said my name, so I apologize.
Go ahead for salary and fringe.
Okay, so the salary and fringe met last week. We were tasked with a job of reviewing the crisis policy because as of then, there was no, COVID wasn't involved in it. So as you guys know, the committee got together, wrote something up, and you guys passed it to go to GAC because we had a very short turnaround time. And which I appreciate you guys doing. When we need something, you guys band together and we get it done. So anyway, we sent it on to GAC and
yeah, so where it went from there is it was submitted to GAC last Tuesday. And then on Friday, with GAC not scheduled to meet till yesterday. So it was submitted a week in advance. And then on Friday, the COVID-19 leave policy was sent out by email to all employees. And after reviewing that and asking for salary and fringe to review it, we decided that it was satisfactory to meet the needs of what we were asking for, and thankful that we now have something in place to assist employees. I will tell you, this has been difficult, but I am so thankful administration listened to our request, and they put this policy in place. So because of that, the committee, Kathy, is there a formal okay to remove the policy and not move forward with any more discussion? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, so that's what happened. I know that probably seemed a little unusual. We did ask for a very rushed vote, but then there was action taken by the end of the week by administration, and so there was no need to carry forward with that proposal because it had already been approved by Dr. Kennedy at that point. So that's what happened with all of that. We didn't send another email out this week because we knew we were meeting and we didn't want to muddy up your inbox and knew we'd have a chance to explain this in person. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me, ask the e-board, ask Kathy, or any of the salary and fringe chairs. But in the end, I think this is a wonderful resource for those. I hope hardly anyone needs to use it, but it is at least there and in place. And we thank all of you that were part of this process, and we formally thank administration as well for putting this into place on behalf of staff and faculty. So it applies to all. While we're on the subject, I would encourage those of you that either have time to donate or feel inclined to donate, this is the time to do it and to make your voice be heard about how much we wanted this policy, the need that we thought there was for it. So if you, like I said, some of you I know have not been here very long. If you don't have time to give up, that is certainly understandable. But if there is
We can no longer hear you.
Well, and let me say, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So real quick, when we were doing all of this, we had no idea that there was a policy being worked on. And again, we appreciate the urgency from you guys to pass it and understand we needed it. But again, it was double work. We didn't know it was being worked on by someone else. So it was not, I just know that we were trying to do what was best for the staff, and it was already being worked on.
Can you guys see us, but you can't hear us?
Barely hear you, just barely.
I'm not sure what's going on. We touched nothing. Still can't hear us. I'm wondering if these kick off and on.
Who's the next one to go up for committee report?
Constitution and bylaws.
Is that somebody here?
We have no report. Sorry.
Okay.
Can I just bring up a clarifying point regarding the crisis leave? So as I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong, the COVID crisis leave will roll over into general crisis leave after COVID dies.
Yeah, that
is true.
Says.
That is true. And we've had a lot of contributions to the pandemic leave too.
Good.
It's coming in.
Still can't hear us?
Just barely, hun. You're way off and way off.
I'm using my coaching voice. I feel like I'm shouting at these two.
What's the next committee?
Election. No report. Oh, I have welcoming's report.
Hey, Kathy, mute yourself and see if we can hear, because it seems like it's.
Okay.
Any different when she's muted? No. Well, I sent an email. Okay. I don't know what to do other than get on through my phone.
I can pull up the agenda and run us down.
You can what?
I mean, I can run us down the agenda if that works.
Yes.
Let me just pull it up real quick. Sorry. Okay, so we just finished, or am I talking? We just finished with election, so I guess next is professional development, which is me. So
Hey,
we
Evan.
are, yes, please.
You skipped over welcoming committee.
Oh, well, it's time for welcoming committee.
Evan, check your phone. I was supposed to give it. I just sent it to you.
Okay, so the welcoming committee has met. They have 3 new staff that will be welcoming next week. Does that conclude the report?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, so 3 people, which is good. Welcome. I guess since that concludes the welcoming committee report, we'll go to election.
No report for election.
No report for election. So now it's professional development. Hello, that's me. So we are coming back from break. We'd put a few things in the mix going into break, and kind of piggybacking with CTL, Center for Teaching and Learning, kind of talking about onboarding, and then CTL's, I'm sorry, we talked with HR about onboarding, and then we talked with CTL about kind of not doing each other's work and everybody working on the same thing. And then now we're going to kind of come back together and sort of talk about what does it look like on the staff association page, because we are no longer meeting our, send everybody off with money to go to conference money. That's no longer in our mandate since we don't have those monies. So we're still developing what our committee looks like going forward. That meeting is going to take place next week, and we should have an update for you after that. Any questions for welcoming, election, or professional development committees? Okay, moving on, we have special events. Go ahead.
Okay, first, thank you to everyone who participated in our holiday event. I think it went really well. We had some nice competition between people for the trivia and things like that. With that in mind, we have talked a little bit with both the exec board and also my committee, and we are looking at doing a similar sort of type thing throughout this semester. So what we've planned on is to do once a month. We'll do Griffin Lunch Hour. I haven't thought of a more creative name than that. If you think of a more creative name than that, please email it to me because I need one. So we're looking at starting doing it just once a month. The idea is that we'll have some that our committee will kind of take the lead on, and then we'll also open it up to others in the hope that we can get a variety of topics. It doesn't have to be like fully, it should not be a lunch and learn, but having some kind of focus, and then really just a time for us to connect to each other and talk over a lunch hour, over a Zoom, not in person. I'm working with Emily Ludwig to do like a nutrition trivia one, since it's the beginning of the year and everybody's like, new year, new me. So that one I'm planning on doing January 29th at noon, because that's what works with her schedule. But after that, following that, we plan to do it on the 3rd Friday of every month at noon. So that is the plan. I'll send out more information with that to you all in case anyone has awesome topics. Andrea already volunteered to do Friends trivia, so I'm just going to wait for her to decide which date she wants to do. And then if this goes well, we can pick it up, maybe have it bi-weekly. Again, it's totally optional, just a way kind of for people to have that opportunity to connect, because we're missing out on that sometimes with less time in meetings, the after time of meetings, getting to talk to each other and things like that. So this is what we're doing to help combat that. So be on the lookout for updates for that. We'll probably post mostly in the Facebook group, but probably put it in Griffin Weekly as well.
Thank you, Melissa. Are there any questions for special events? Very good. Okay, so we'll move on to Advantage Committee. Go ahead.
All right, I have the report for Advantage Committee. I am going to just read this message from Susan Garrison, the chair. We had great participation from staff and faculty who supported the Adopt a Griffin program in December. The year 2020 was not an easy one, but with your generous Griffin spirit, we were able to brighten the season for 4 of our colleagues and their families. Many items and gift cards were donated, and we collected $2,602 to assist with additional needs. This dollar amount included what was collected from the Staff Association silent auction. Shout out to the Advantage Committee and building representatives who assisted this season. Your assistance was invaluable. And thank you to the people who donated and purchased as well.
Fantastic. I have to answer that. Can you just
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Well,
This is a new version of learning to vamp. I can't be on Zoom while in the room because of the feedback. So we tried it on a computer. We're now trying it from my phone. So I'm just going to walk over here into the union to give you my report. I will promise to keep it brief because it's probably me right now. So give me just a second. I'm almost inside. Okay. I'm just going to stand here in the way where there isn't anybody. So I'm just going to quickly go down my list of things. A lot of it we've already talked about with the COVID-19 policy. So just thanks to everybody for that. And again, just happy that we're going to be able to help some folks out again. So our meeting this month was actually with all of administration. We typically just meet with Dr. Kennedy, but she had invited Daryl and Dr. Davenport and Dr. Jones. So it was the four of them with the four of us. So we had lots of conversation about lots of different things. But it was more than just with Dr. Kennedy. So we did make sure to share our thanks and gratitude for those extra 3 days and the lunch. And I don't know about all of you, but I know it was just a lunch, but to me, it was more than just a lunch. I think it made us feel valued. And so we made sure to echo those comments with administration. We had been asked to find out the status of Joe Mel's position. And so they gave an update on that they're looking to repost the position later this spring. They had an unsuccessful search, and there's some ongoing conversation within that department trying to figure out needs and branding. Kendi, I know, is on here, and probably if there's anything more you want to add to that, but basically they just said that that's on hold for the time being. Is that correct, Kendi? And we'll look at that later this semester. So things are kind of, going, and Kent Heyer has stepped into more of a leadership type role within that unit. So also general counsel, they are in the process of hiring and should hopefully have someone on board here very quickly. I feel like it was maybe even next week, possibly. We'd also been asked about the interim title that Dr. Kennedy has and what that looks like for the long term. She shared it was a 1-year contract and really not a whole lot of other information to share on that. That wasn't an easy question to ask of her when it's her own contract. But it is a relatively new board. They're still trying to figure out, amongst themselves, the vision and the direction the university is heading. And so that was the follow-up to that question that we were also asked to pose. Yesterday in GAC, there was lengthy discussion about institutional committees, looking to redefine those. Some will be coming off the list, others will be coming on, and then there will be a revamp of several that were on there. So it was very good conversation to sit in and listen on about. I learned a lot actually just reading through all those committees and the purpose and things that have been here for a very long time that need to stay, others that are new. And just the purpose and the direction that those are headed, and GAC's role and the university's role in all of those, and the scope and definition of oversight. And then the final bullet point I have here. So we had kind of been wanting a feedback button on the website. That's been put on the back burner. I know you probably feel like a broken record in hearing me say that over and over again, because we really just want to get it right. And there's just been things come up this last month that has made me want to pause on that a little bit. And so it is still in the works as a possibility, just trying to figure out. Our ultimate goal is a channel to share information. And we also kind of have a twofold way with that, a way to maybe share information, but also to praise your fellow staff members, and a means of, hey, here's good things going on, and kind of like a shout out that other departments are doing. And we don't want to use the same terms that others are doing. We don't want to step on any toes, but we really would like a means to recognize folks and within the staff promote, one another and goodwill. And so that's still in the works. So again, I apologize. Sounded like a broken record with that. I recognize that, but there's plenty of reasons with that. So Jean, I've just now realized that you are next on the list, and I'm now in the adjacent building talking from my phone. Was the main thing you were going to talk about the budget, or, is Corey in the room now? Are we back and functioning?
She's back in the room now. Can you hear us?
I can from my phone, but I'm seeing others shake their head no, but I can hear from my phone. Which is interesting.
Try it now.
Can you hear me now? Is that a yes? No? Thumbs up?
I can. So it's interesting that those on the computer can't. I hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, but everybody else can, right? Have much to report. I did attend the GAC meeting as well, and it was very interesting. Like Andrea said, I also learned a lot. And then the only other thing was on the budget. I noticed that in the month of November, we have a 50-cent postage charge. And I've reached out to Stacy Mole to find out if there's a little bit more detail as far as what that is, but I have not heard anything back from her. So does anybody recall mailing a card? Because it could very well not even be ours. But that was it.
If anybody knows about this mysterious 50-cent line item, let us know. We've gotten a good little chuckle about it, I have to say. Trying to rack our brains about what in the world we might have spent 50 cents on, but I think the postage is probably on the right track. So Jean is on the case. Detective Jean is on the case. Greg, I don't think we have a faculty liaison report, or Greg would have given me a heads up about that. I just have a general bullet point on here just about whatever we can do within the staff. You guys, I know times are still tough. It's everybody, I don't know about you, but even coming back from a break, it hasn't felt like a break. It's like right back where we left off. But whatever we can do to keep each other's spirits up. Morale, I know is a term everybody kind of gets tired of hearing, but it's not going anywhere. And we all have a responsibility with that, myself included. And whatever we can do within the staff, I think the really hard part within Staff Senate is we have no camaraderie because we're all on Zoom. And it's really hard. So if anybody has any ideas, just like Melissa was talking about, and I only heard part of the report as I was scrambling, trying to come up with some staff association events. I've kicked around the idea of, would you all be interested in just hopping on Zoom for 10 minutes a random morning as senators while you drink your coffee or have your breakfast, or just to visit with one another, just side chatter. It's not a meeting. And I even need to check on the bylaws if this is something we could even do, just to get to know one another a little better, keep working, develop trust, building those relationships. If that sounds like a terrible idea to you, they will obviously be optional. It's really just meant to kind of help us make connections right now and really think outside the box with this COVID environment of what we're not able to do, and not keep using that as a crutch of means of, well, we're not getting where we want to be because of COVID. Well, let's find solutions here. And so that's one idea that board has been kicking around. You might let us know your thoughts on, again, it would be minimal. That would be more for senators only, just to work on that relationship building, but then also within the special events committee, have some more staff generated events. And so any of you friends, watchers out there, I got the trivia for Christmas and nobody in my family likes Friends but me. So I need somebody to play with me. Might be a little self-serving, maybe. But I thought, just little things like that we can do, and to spread out the different ideas to accommodate all interests and hobbies and things like that. So just whatever you can do personally within your department, your unit. If you have ideas, this board is ready to act on them, to do whatever we can. So if you, like I said, even if it seems silly or small or insignificant, let somebody know. Keep patting each other on the back for a job well done. That was another reason for the feedback on the website. Just one more positive way to encourage one another. We'll get all that worked out.
But that's the last thing I have. I feel preachy, but it really is genuine and coming from a place of what can we do to make this the best campus we can for all of us. I know we're all doing our part to make it the best campus for students. Let's just make it the best campus for each other. This is where we spend a third of our day, much more than that for a lot of you. So whatever we can do, let's all get on the same page and do it. What other, any other announcements or discussion, business you want to tackle?
So I think it might be worth mentioning that if you know anybody who's looking for careers, that there are a lot of jobs posted right now. There are a few for admissions counselors. There's one for campus visit coordinator, and then I saw a few other in addition. So if you know anybody who's hard up for a job or is an alumni interested in something like that, you know, there's lots of ways to apply there. So just check the HR page and figure out what's going on, and then put it to people who'd be good candidates.
Good point. Other ideas? It's really interesting zooming from the phone because I can only see like 3 of you at a time. So I'm trying to scroll through to make sure nobody's got their hand up. This is a first, guys. This is a first. So, well, if there's no other discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Bye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Once again, thanks for hanging with us with the technology. We're going to get it right in February. We're going to nail it. Take care, everybody. Bye.
So do we know why it?
No, I was wondering if, oh, let me end this.